0-2 out of the gate, looking for answers. Another good headline there. Let's just talk about the Lakers situation. So much attention is being focused on the 12th guy on the team. Please tell me Laker fan isn't hoping that Bronny James is ready to be a star, because he's really not. Lakers got beat by Minnesota in their first game in preseason. Bronny was 1 for 6 shooting the ball. He had 3 blocked shots, though, in 16 minutes. He really played well. But then he came back on Sunday when they got battered by the Phoenix Suns. In 13 minutes, Bronny James in a second game had 4 turnovers and 3 personal fouls. I've talked about what I think is a real important storyline in the Laker camp, and that's the kid out of Tennessee, the three-point shooter, Dalton Connect. He was 7 for 13 shooting in that first game against Minnesota. He had 16 points. Gabe Vincent came off the bench. He had 11 points in 15 minutes. He, of course, is coming off knee surgery. Those are players 1 and players 1B that I think are critical to get answers in preseason, because they really need those guys to contribute. However, Connect came back in the second game and was 2 for 9, didn't shoot the ball very well. And Max Christie, the #1 pick that they've talked about, that this is the guy that's going to take the step forward, he was 3 for 15 last night against the Phoenix Suns. So a lot of big issues as it relates to the Lakers. Clippers got beat by Golden State, which played all of its guys off the bench. The Clippers don't have Kawhi Leonard. James Harden went for 13 points and 8 rebounds as an old man at age 36. I just don't know where the Clippers' firepower is going to come from. Big storyline off the court is Kawhi Leonard has confirmed he's begun a different type of weight training program for him to try to strengthen this knee injury and the inflammation that keeps coming back. He's not going to play in the preseason. I think they're going to monitor his minutes. I doubt he's going to play any back-to-back games for the Clippers. So I just don't know that Kawhi is ever going to be the same player again. And now if you got half a Kawhi and you don't have Paul George, what kind of season are they going to have going into the new building? Leads me to believe it's going to be a non-playoff season. John, your thoughts on hoops?
Yeah, it's hard to figure out both of these teams. You're kind of wondering, a lot of question marks, looking for answers, as you said. You talked about Max Christie and as one of the players on the Lakers, but wasn't there another Christie like maybe 10 or 20 years ago that the Lakers had?
Yeah, Doug Christie, outstanding three-point shooter. Don't believe he's related, but he was a fine NBA player, was a fine player out here on the West Coast in college basketball.
He was Pepperdine, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so it's a familiar last name. At least that's what I was thinking about. But when does the season start? It's going to be like, around the 20th of October or so?
I think we got at least 2 more weeks of NBA preseason basketball. So these are questions that we're going to have to get answers to. Not so much Bronny James, but as a three-point shooter out of Tennessee, Dalton Connect the real deal. That's going to be huge. And then does Max Christie, a former #1 pick, can he become an instant point guy off the bench? Well, 3 for 15 on Sunday doesn't make you believe he's ready to play. And the veterans they signed last year who are all hurt. Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish had done some pretty good things other places in Miami and with the New York Knicks. They got to get those guys healthy, get those guys on the court, to get those guys to produce, because it just cannot be an aging Anthony Davis and an aging LeBron James to carry this thing by themselves. I think potentially you look at the roster and say, if players 3 through 7 or 8 do well, it's going to be a good season, because we know AD and the King are going to do well. But if these guys are still skitterish and are still hot and cold, then the Lakers, you're going to be rooting for the Lakers trying to get into the play-in game more than be a Lakers team that's going to be a difference maker in the NBA West. John, it's time for Fans Forum. Let me remind everybody, this podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas. Think about all things Dixieline Lumber can provide to you. 9 locations in San Diego and the new one that has just opened up in Dana Point. Fans Forum belongs to you, the followers, on our live stream. We are broadcasting today. I am at my cottage in upstate New York, where it's really cold. John, I can look out the window here. It's not winter yet, but I can see winter from here. And you are anchoring back in the sunshine in San Diego. You ready for Fans Forum? You